Enjoy year-round access to exclusive amenities and events. Visit clublostlake.com to schedule a visit today. Don't miss out on this incredible course. And please, putt responsibly.
Get ready to elevate your driving experience with the all-new 2025 Range Rover Velar P250 Dynamic SE. A stunning blend of luxury, performance, and technology that will make every drive unforgettable. Right now, you can lease the new Velar for just $759 per month for 36 months. Yes, only $759 a month for a luxury SUV that sets new standards on the road. Visit Land Rover Palm Beach today and take advantage of this incredible offer. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer. Our policy is to provide equal opportunity employment, development, and advancement to all current and potential teammates. If you are an organization that wants to learn more about careers with Good Karma Brands, please email careers@goodkarmabrands.com.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
Ball into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
You know, when you really think about it and you try to determine value in the NFL, it's all based on the market. It's all based on how everybody else, like anything, views your valuation. And then, in turn, your valuation rises. This happens with quarterbacks. This happens with basically every type of premier position or player in the National Football League. What I'm confused about is how every single player that is paid the premier dollar, as the NFL media likes to put it, the highest paid non-QB. One of the highest paid non-QBs. It is almost, after the whirlwind that we saw yesterday where, you know, even over the weekend where Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, establishing new lows, establishing new floors, it's them and wide receivers. That is exclusively the list. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. Tuesday, March the 11th, 2025. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Catt with you as always, with you from 4 to 6 p.m., streaming live on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook / X as well at ESPN West Palm. Check us out there. Also on your radio dial at ESPN 106.3. Packed program today. We got two guests. We're here to speak with Mike Tannenbaum and Good Karma Brands President Steve Policino a little later on in the program. So a lot to talk about, a lot to do, a lot of fun to be had. Firstly, am I the only one who thinks that is this market a little too saturated? Are there really, and I'm mainly looking at the wide receivers. I understand the edge rushers because edge rushers kind of elevate the entire defense. But wide receivers, more importantly, if I'm looking at the top paid non-quarterbacks in the NFL, Jamar Chase is going to be one of them, so let's mock include him there. But Justin Jefferson is right there. CeeDee Lamb is right there. DK Metcalf is now there. A.J. Brown is there. Then you get to a non-wide receiver quarterback defensive end, and it's Chris Jones as defensive tackle, who is a Hall of Famer. And then you get Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brandon Ayuk, Tyreek Hill, all the way down to Jalen Waddle. That is the highest paid, at the moment, non-quarterbacks in the NFL. You got the Jalen Waddles of the world all the way up to Myles Garrett, and the rest exclusively as quarterbacks. Am I the only one who thinks that's a little crazy? Is that market a little too saturated?
I think so. The thing is, I'm okay with the defensive ends and the quarter and obviously non-quarterbacks, Colin. But I'm not giving. I told you yesterday, I'm not giving DK Metcalf $150 million. You're out of your mind if I want my team to spend that much money on a caliber receiver like Metcalf.
How is this where the market has went to? I cannot see. Why aren't corners paid like this? Why aren't left tackles paid like this? Because
quarterbacks run the show, and I say look no further than Cincinnati. Joe Burrow, franchise quarterback, what does he want? He wants Jamar Chase and he wants T. Higgins. He wants his weapons. He wants the guys that he is throwing the ball to and getting the ball to be well taken care of and well paid and on the team. That's my 2 cents on it, Colin. The quarterback's the most important position. How do you keep a quarterback happy?
I would argue that's not his most important position. It's not. Objectively, it's not.
I'm not listening with you.
Their anchor is on the offensive line.
Colin, I'm with you. The quarterback, how I operate, I want my quarterback to elevate what's around him. If it were up to me, you would draft savvy, you'd have young receivers, and you wouldn't, and it's bad business, Colin, to, not pay the guys when their contracts are up, but you redo the process. Once these guys want astronomical money, you draft another receiver.
Now, I wonder if this is going to be a bit of a segue, a bit of back and forth. Now that the market is ultra-saturated, the wide receiver is now a premier position for those playing in high school, if they're playing over, at West Boca in Palm Beach County, or all the way up till college level. They want to be receivers because receivers get paid, and they get big contracts. So therefore, it's like when the supply is there, or the demand is there, I should say, the supply follows. That is what we're looking at. Is there going to be a bit of an offsetting process if another position were to rise to prominence? I'm curious about this because I don't know whether the chicken is coming before the egg here. Are the great receivers coming and we're looking at the value and thinking this is what they are worth comparison to the rest of the team? Or is this just where the agents of the NFL have kind of got the NFL teams, the general managers, and they've kind of buried them into a corner at this is where the market is, or they walk?
There are 4 receivers, Colin, in this league that I would give astronomical cash to. And that would be Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Malik Neighbors, and CeeDee Lamb.
Malik Neighbors.
I think Neighbors is on. He's Neighbors.
I'm right.
Neighbors,
he's a rookie, but
he's on his way to being the next big thing. I think when he is due for a contract, Kyle.
That's a long way away. Okay.
But I think when he's due for a contract, you're going to go, all right, he's one of those guys that you pay. Those are the receivers you pay the big dollars. Other than that, I'm not paying $150 million
Michael Thomas
for Metcalf.
Broke the receiving record, 6 years ago?
And
Tyreek Hill had an otherworldly season last year, where he led the league in receiving by a wide margin, and he was virtually unstoppable. 3 years ago, Cooper Kupp had a triple crown. How are they now? Well, they're still good, viable options. Michael Thomas isn't, but the other two are. Are they great? Are they otherworldly great?
Needle movers.
What is the point that these guys are going to be consistent throughout the duration of their contract?
And Saquon Barkley, and if I could switch gears to the running back, Colin, because the running back used to be the wide receiver. The running back used to be the position outside of quarterback and edge rusher and whatever. They were the highest paid guys because you ran the ball 20 to 25 times a game.
The great players got paid.
But the NFL, I grew up with Colin, like the Curtis Martins of the world, Sean Alexander's, the Priest Holmes, Quentin Portis, all those guys got paid. So, they set the market. And to your point, these Jamar Chases and Justin Jefferson and guys getting astronomical money, they're setting the market. And this is the current trend of the NFL. The current trend of the NFL is quarterback, edge rusher, receiver in that order. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
My point being, though, Cooper Kupp had a triple crown within 3 years. Tyreek Hill was otherworldly last year, 1,800 yards receiving. He was great. Stephon Diggs was the year before that. Michael Thomas. Before that, we're back in Julio days. Mm-hmm. These guys are signing 5-year contracts. This was 6 years ago. How fair is it for me to say that maybe the juice is not worth the squeeze on these positions?
So how would you go at it? Because my thought...
These guys are not worth the money.
Outside of the Jeffersons and the Chases and the guys that I named, Colin, I would just...
But hold on. We would say the same thing. The Cooper Kupp of the world was the Jamar Chase of 3 years ago. He had the triple crown.
It's a good point.
He had 2,000 yards.
Jefferson has been consistent for a while now.
Sure.
Justin's been consistent for a while now.
3 years, 4 years.
And Kupp didn't really turn around to his late 20s. We'd agree on that.
He got healthy. He had triple crown. Were we supposed to forego that?
I think that no, you're not. We're not. But I think the longevity point with the Chases and the Jeffersons, that's something worth. But now I'll give you Tyreek Hill. But Tyreek Hill was really good for a long time. He was really good for 5-6 years. Let's call it for what it is.
And you got to pay him.
And now Tua, now I think his situation has a lot to do with the quarterback situation there, and who's throwing him the ball a little bit. Yet Skylar Thompson at one point throwing the ball last year, but I understand. He wasn't the player and didn't put up the numbers that he put up the last.
Now there's certain players that are otherworldly great that have put together illustrious long primes. Julio Jones is probably an example. Antonio Brown as well. Calvin Johnson, if we want to go that far back.
Randy.
But, I mean, in the past couple years, these guys have had a problem in staying available. I'm just saying, is it weird for me to say that DJ Moore should not be making $27.5 million a year when Trent Williams, who is one of the best left tackles to ever play football, if not the best, is making $27.5.
Let me piggyback off that. The receivers are really good, Colin, at maximizing after a good year.
The agents.
You maximize. You asked me DJ Moore as being close to the situation as I was working in Illinois for 3 years. They paid more because he was the lone bright spot with Justin Fields on that offense. He went for over 1,000 yards. He was involved in the passing game more than just, going downfield. He was getting screens.
He
was blocking. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. And you had things around him too, right? You had Keenan Allen. You had a plethora of other receivers and other options offensively, even the running back like DeAndre Swift. So my take on what you just said of, everything here, the receiver could capitalize off of a great year like no one else in this league.
That's an agent question. That's an agent question. But I understand. There's something to them holding out, making sure that they can take advantage of these front offices. But I'm sitting here wondering how worth it really is for some of these receivers to get these big-time contracts. I don't know why the left tackle, a premier position that is consistently good, usually, consistently good over a long period of time, is not more sought after in the market in order to be paid as much as a wide receiver. I don't know. I've been trying to make sense of this all day. The defensive end, I understand the argument, because the defensive end can disrupt the entire game. Wide receiver is not disrupting an entire game.
The positions of need, right? Defensive end is the number one position of need probably on a defense. The quarterback is the number one position of need on the offense.
And what would you say is number 2 on the offense? There's an answer.
It's lineman.
It's a left tackle.
I think it's
if
lineman.
He's a righty, it's a left tackle.
I would even put it in. Kyle, you need 5 solid options, man.
Right.
I understand you protect if your quarterback's a righty, you want to protect his blind
but
side.
But you want to nullify those defensive ends you just talked about, then you got to get the edge.
Right and left. And that's why I think there's something to be said about what Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears, I really like their offseason of bolstering up the line. Will it work? We'll have to wait and see. But at least they're trying to bolster up the line.
Offensive line need to get better agents. That's the bottom line. Get better agents or understand your market a little further.
And Colin, and that's another position where it's tough to be good for a long time because of how physical it is. That's why I respect Joe Thomas so much. Joe Thomas played on terrible teams, and he was still day in and day out going in there banged up and doing his job and being the best in the league at it. They're a different breed, those guys.
Chris Jones is the lone. There's a couple outside linebackers, quote unquote, Brian Burns and Josh Hans Island for the Jacksonville Jaguars. To be one of them. TJ Watt. Those guys have their hand in the dirt more than they don't.
Yeah, they're rushing the quarterback more often than not.
Is it crazy for me to say that the market for the wide receiver has gotten completely out of control?
It
is. Completely. You're going to pay Jamar Chase $46 million? What happens if Joe Burrow goes down? How great is Jamar Chase then?
Let me ask you this to piggyback off that. Who are the 2 teams left in the AFC this year, Colin, in the championship game, AFC championship game?
Are you talking about the Bills and the Chiefs?
Who is the best receiver on that team?
On either of those teams. There's your answer.
Exactly. Amari Cooper, Xavier Worthy. The point I'm trying to make is do you need them? Do you need them to win? Now, the Eagles certainly kind of are poo-pooing on this take. But let's not forget that the Kansas City Chiefs won, 2 without Tyreek Hill?
I'm willing to go to the lengths to saying that the Devontae Smiths of the world and the A.J. Browns of the world are not the reason that team dominated.
Barkley, offensive line.
Not even Barkley.
Defense.
It was the lines and the defense. And Hurst.
Well,
those are the 3.
Barkley was a huge part, though.
Of the team, not of that game.
2,000 yards, Colin.
Not of the game.
Okay.
He was ineffective in the Super Bowl.
You're in the Super Bowl. Okay.
He was ineffective in the game.
I thought you meant like the Super Bowl winning
Barkley's
team in general.
Barkley's great. No problem. Made a very good team better. But that team flew because of what that defense accomplished and what Jalen Hurts accomplished and what that offensive line accomplished. That's the bottom line. I don't understand why these markets are completely out of control on the wide receiver end. 888-760-3776, the number to get into the program on Russo and Rizzo. Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo, Christian Cat. As always, are the wide receivers overpaid? Is it an overpaid, overrated position of need for an NFL team? 888-760-3776. Let us know. We got Mike Tannenbaum coming up in just about 20 minutes on Russo and Rizzo. Should be a lot of fun there. We'll get his take on this because he is somebody who's been in general managing positions and front office positions and has seen it at the highest level. We roll on here. We take a time out. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
This spring, speed returns to South Florida. NASCAR weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway. Go get it done. Green. Where high octane meets the high banks. And gear up for spring break in the fast lane. 3 races, 3 days, one unforgettable weekend in racing paradise. NASCAR weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway. March 21st through the 23rd. Get your tickets now at homesteadmiamispeedway.com.
Business owners, are your employees driving you nuts? Is money tight? Or have you just poured your heart and soul into your business and now it's time to retire and just relax? At Transworld Business Advisors, they have buyers from all over the world ready to buy your business now. Call for a confidential conversation about your business's current value. 561-203-5121. That's 561-203-5121 or visit tworld.com today.
The Club at Lost Lake, a championship Fazio design golf course in Hope Sound. Golf and social memberships are now available with no waiting list and immediate access. The course and club will see over $10 million in capital improvements and is one of the best private club values in the area. Experience the beauty and challenge of this renowned course for yourself. Enjoy year-round access to exclusive amenities and events. Visit clublostlake.com to schedule a visit today. Don't miss out on this incredible course. And please, putt responsibly.
Breaking news on ESPN 106.3 is brought to you by St. Lucie Battery and Tire.
This just in. We begin this hour with breaking news.
When news breaks, ESPN 106.3 has it covered.
We've had developments. ESPN 106.3 can now report.
When your vehicle breaks, St. Lucie Battery and Tire fixes it. Stay tuned to ESPN 106.3 for more breaking news. Brought to you by St. Lucie Battery and Tire.
Want to accelerate your career as a manager or executive in the exciting industry of sports? Florida Atlantic University's MBA in Sport Management program is ranked #1 in Florida and 10th in the world. Students learn practical and applied skills from top faculty and experts who work in the industry. With a 94% placement rate for all grads, the full-time MBA program sets students up for success in the world of sports. Check out Florida Atlantic University's MBA in Sport Management program today by going to business.fau.edu.
Calling all sports fans, grab your MVP card and head to Duffy's where you can catch all of the action. Not an MVP? Sign up for free and start earning rewards today. Duffy's is voted the best sports grill year after year with their award-winning burgers and wings. Don't forget about Duffy's famous 2-for-1 drinks all day, every day. And with over 80 TVs in every location, you'll never miss a minute of the game. Visit Duffy'sMVP.com to learn more. Duffy's, our game is always on.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
You heard it. The Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you've been in a car accident, truck accident, suffered a slip and fall, my friends Mark Anajar and Glenn Levine over at Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys, they're here to fight for you. They're the type of guys that got your back no matter what. They don't charge you unless you win. They were tirelessly to get you the maximum compensation that you deserve. Don't settle for just any attorney. Demand Anajar and Levine today, because that's the Anajar and Levine difference. All it takes, one phone call, take back control of your life. Don't wait. Call for that free consultation today. That's 1-800-747-FREE. 1-800-747-3733. Take back control now with Anajar and Levine. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat with you as always on ESPN 106.3 with Russo and Rizzo live from the City Boy Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. Streaming live also on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X at ESPN West Palm as well. We got Mike Tannenbaum coming up a little bit next segment. And I bet a big topic of conversation in day 2 of the tampering period before free agency really gets underway technically in the NFL has been what's going on with these quarterback situations. Sam Darnold signed yesterday. We got into that. And you got Geno Smith now going to be with the Raiders. You have Justin Fields going over to the Jets. A couple moves here and there, a couple lateral moves, a couple floor raisers, the whole thing. But an interesting one was what Daniel Jones was waiting to do. It was reported yesterday that the entire league was kind of waiting to see where Daniel Jones would go. If he's going to go somewhere to try to pressure and fight for a starting spot, or if he's going to go and kind of sit and be a backup, be the ultimate insurance option, a good top-tier backup at that. But he ended up signing with the Indianapolis Colts. And the Indianapolis Colts, who were kind of quiet in terms of making moves yesterday, finally make some sort of, I'm not going to call it a splash, but a move in the sense that it's more about the other quarterback than it is about Daniel Jones. It's more about Anthony Richardson than it is about what Daniel Jones can accomplish. Because Daniel Jones is somebody that is a floor raiser, is somebody that won't necessarily blow the doors off, but he could get you somewhere.
I also think it's a little competition to light a candle.
That's what it is. It's more about Anthony Richardson than it is about Daniel Jones.
I think it's bringing in someone to light a little fire under Anthony and have a contingency plan of, okay, if Richardson gets hurt for the 3rd time in 3 years, or if Richardson takes himself out of a football game like he did last year, we'll be in a pretty good spot if any of that stuff happens. Now, Colin, I don't know how much Daniel Jones is going to be able to do as a backup. I mean, the Giants put him like 3rd on that depth chart last year. He looked pretty horrendous at points last year. Maybe all the guy needed was a change of scenery. You know, I hate to bury the guy immediately because we've seen the resurrection of quarterbacks like Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, and a whole lot of others. But, I mean, is Daniel Jones really going to be able to wear the black cape and save the city if something does happen to Anthony
That's
Richardson?
not what they're looking for.
I have questions.
But that is the ultimate. If you're talking about an ultimatum for a young player that's kind of on his last chance, is, all right, well, beat out Daniel Jones. If you have problems with professionalism, if you have problems with kind of keeping your head up and just putting your nose down doing what you got to do, Daniel Jones is, regardless of how you think he is as a player, or if you think he's the top side is good, you can't say that about his character. That was a guy who the Giants respected. This guy who showed up for the Giants and didn't necessarily play great consistently, but was somebody you never heard a complaint about in terms of how he handled himself. That is a professional going into an unprofessional environment. Anthony Richardson, on the flip side of things, has all the talent in the world. And maybe Daniel Jones is a bit limited in that department, but he's a professional. Anthony Richardson is somebody who, as people have floated as, not a professional. Somebody who took himself out of the game, late game earlier in the season. Who took a benching lightly, going back and forth, out of shape, whatever it is. Erratic. It's weird clash of dynamics that they have brought in with Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. Now you're thinking about Anthony Richardson. It's time to put up or shut up.
Yeah,
I mean, geez,
I know.
We're almost done with this.
Okay, all right. I was going to add, that was going to be my next question because I know I drive you crazy with this talk, but how long does that guy have left there?
It's not crazy now. He's had 2 seasons. So if he has a 3rd season, if you can't beat out Daniel Jones, you're gone. Or don't let the door hit you in the rear end.
Even health and all the other things that we've talked about.
Yeah, he's had health problems. I understand with the shoulder injury and everything. In the first season, he's been a bit banged up. But when he's on the field, too, that is not been the least of their worries. I mean, geez.
They're calling that the curse of luck over there, by the way.
It's not all health. Luck was health. This is not all health.
The curse of luck, well, meaning, Colin, when luck left, or retired, they have not been able to figure it out since.
Now, what I'm curious about is I heard Pat McAfee, who has a lot of ties to the city of Indianapolis, and I'm curious because he was saying a couple things about Anthony Richardson. Somebody who, Pat McAfee, mind you, was somebody who was very, very, he critiqued Anthony Richardson quite a bit in the department when he pulled himself out of the game, said he was gassed, took ownership of it, eventually was benched and the whole thing. Pat McAfee was somebody who was not a negative person, Pat is, but was very negative in that sense. I'm looking for the word here. But it wasn't
critical.
Critical is the word.
Nice, Christian.
Do you have that audio ready, Christian?
Yeah.
Here's Pat McAfee talking today about the Colts fans' perception of what Anthony Richardson can be for them.
New start somewhere else is what Anthony Richardson needs. And you know what? If
if that's the case, if he does look to go somewhere else, we will appreciate the hell out of his time in this city. And we will be thankful that we were able to be like grade school for him to learn how to play football and be a football player and be a professional and everything like that. And I think he would have massive success somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's got to learn how to be a pro for sure. And, Coach Nation's torn on Anthony Richardson. And Coach Nation has
the more they learn about him, though, they probably wouldn't be torn if I had
we've been on.
I'm with Pat. I don't think they're torn on anything.
Well, here's the problem. This is Pat McAfee coming out and saying, well, if they knew the whole story, if they knew everything that I know, if they had the connections that I have within the organization, they wouldn't be torn on whether he's good or bad. Pat was saying in the beginning of the quote, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya, go have success elsewhere. That's what that was beginning of the quote was.
He was being a little condescending.
Yeah, he called it grade school.
He was being condescending.
How backhanded was that?
Very
that
much
is
so.
bizarre.
Very
that
much
is
so.
a personal vendetta.
He learned how to be an adult with the Colts and then flourish somewhere else.
It's this, Steichen, Colin, I'm a big fan of, the head coach there in Indianapolis. He's an offensive guy. This has to be a big ego shot for him to have this kid come in here and be this much of a nightmare.
But no, isn't the exact opposite? Isn't it like you kind of hand the keys to someone who probably shouldn't have had the keys?
But
and it's
you
out
know
of
how
your hands?
my point is, you know how these coaches are. And I'm assuming he played a big role in drafting him.
Well,
Let's not forget Anthony Richardson flew up the draft board. All right, it was, I can't, help me out with that draft. There were two quarterbacks that went before him.
What?
Yeah, with Richardson's draft. Who were the top heavies? Regardless, he flew up the draft boards. He wasn't, yeah, I know. That's why I said I'm at a loss. He was the combine guy, Colin. He was the combine guy. And that's why I think Steichen, the head coach, is probably, God, how did I not see this? How did I get this so wrong? And I think he's a good coach. Look what he's been able to do with those Indianapolis teams that haven't been the best, rather berated at talent.
It was a Stroud and Young year. That was it.
Okay. Well, and then Richardson flew up that draft. So it's like, I think obviously if he could do it different, he would. But I know it's an ego shot for coaches like that.
It's not. I mean, he's sick of the guy. He benched him for crying out loud. He benched him. And not for the reasons that Bryce Young got benched. He got benched because he wasn't professional. Bryce Young got benched because maybe this was a little too much, a little overwhelming at once.
Do you remember the show we did when that guy took himself out of the game? We couldn't believe it.
Nobody could believe
it. We couldn't.
Including McAfee.
We sat here for like, what in the hell did
McAfee's got a lot of connections to the Colts organization, and he has been very critical of the Colts organization. He's not good with the owner. He was not in the box late year. He didn't like how he wants to be more involved with the Colts organization than they want him to be involved. And there was a whole probably vendetta within the Colts and McAfee there. But I thought that was very peculiar how McAfee was so backhanded in terms of how Anthony Richardson should be to the city of Indianapolis. Let's listen to that again one more time. Pat McAfee talking about Anthony Richardson and what he means to the city and how he should essentially move on.
You know what? If that's the case, if he does look to go somewhere else, we will appreciate the hell out of his time in this city. And we will be thankful that we were able to be like grade school for him to learn how to play football and be a football player and be a professional and everything like that. And I think he would have massive success somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's got to learn how to be a pro for sure. And, Coach Nation's torn on Anthony Richardson. And Coach Nation has
the more they learn about him, though, they probably wouldn't be torn if I had
we've been on.
The more they know about him, they probably wouldn't be torn. Yeah. And it's also, I saw the reports of the same guy who tweeted that. I don't know, take this with a grain of salt. Said that McAfee at the Combine was I know something about Anthony Richardson and you don't.
Okay. So he's got a story.
He hears the stories. He hears the stories.
You want to know what I call that, Christian? He's got a scoop. He's got a scoop. Fair play to him. Then
Fair
move
play.
on.
Well, don't flaunt it in front of everybody. Very bizarre. He doesn't run the organization.
But at the same time, this might be steps to move on.
Is it? What say does McAfee have in the organization? I think this is soft.
No.
McAfee's got
hear me out. Colin, hear me out. Like steps signing Daniel Jones. Sorry. And maybe finding a contingency plan of, hey, if we're done with...
It's a contingency plan. That's all it is.
Okay. But
this is no future. This is put up or shut up here.
You've seen Steichen be able to have decent... I know last year wasn't necessarily... they were world beaters or anything. But 2 years ago, they were a drop pass by their running back to going to the playoffs. So I understand. Sorry to cut you off.
No, I understand. But the point being is this is the ultimate ultimatum year for Anthony Richardson. And I'm not high on his ability But, I mean, if you're going to get 2.5-ish years of we're trying you with a pretty decent team around you in a bad division, and you can't figure it out, see ya. Goodbye. Pressure's on him. Pressure's on. So whether he could live up to that pressure, stay quiet in the offseason, and attack next year with kind of a vengeance, a chip on your shoulder, you get McAfee speaking against you. And I haven't heard McAfee say anything negative about somebody since he got that ESPN contract.
You think it's because it's close to home, like you said?
I think he doesn't like the way the Colts are running the organization. I think the Colts have probably maybe Pat McAfee's trying to give his input here and there, and the Colts are like, no. And therefore, that sounded personal. Am I wrong on that? That sounded personal.
It did. But at the same time, I called it condescending because, I don't think he didn't want to come off like he was dogging him, but at the same time, Colin, he wanted to make sure you knew he was kind of dogging him in that situation. You know what I'm saying? The condescending of, I'm happy we could be your play box. I'm happy that it's the definition of condescending.
Because McAfee does not want to be negative, like we were talking about before.
Exactly.
He wants to be positive, but he clearly had negative feelings towards Anthony Richardson, and that's how he communicated.
The only thing he's negative about is the Colts. That's the only thing he's negative about.
I mean, the Colts guys, let's call a spade a spade. Outside 2020, the Colts have really been a 9-win, 7-win, 8-win team since Andrew Luck. What's going to get that team to the next step? And maybe that's why Pat's mad. Because maybe in his mind that they think is a quarterback, they're a quarterback away, and they drafted a quarterback with the number, what was it, fourth pick in the draft, and they're a quarterback away, and they drafted a quarterback high, and this kid's, this man's immature.
And he fizzles out, and I don't think he's that talented either. He's too erratic. One throw will be the most impressive throw you've ever seen in your entire life, and the next one he's sailing at 20 yards down the sideline. And
adding another layer here, he's a decent enough runner, but the problem is he gets hurt. He gets his bell rung, and then he's hurt, and then he misses games.
You don't need runners. You need guys who can throw. Lamar is an outlier. But very, very bizarre quotes from Pat McAfee there over on the Pat McAfee Show on ESPN. And critical of Anthony Richardson, a put up or shut up year is the Daniel Jones signing. Can I read too much into it? It's less about Daniel Jones and more about Anthony Richardson. If they go to Daniel Jones, that's going to be a team trying to stay afloat. That's bottom line. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. We're going to try to stay afloat, and then we're going to reset, reflush, and completely rebuild that position going into next year. Maybe it's the right move. Honestly, I think it is. Daniel Jones is the right move there.
For that specific situation?
For that specific situation, that is the right move. Comparatively, what, Russell Wilson going in there?
It's worth a... So Daniel Jones, what's been a theme in the NFL? I brought this up earlier, but one of the themes in the NFL, second chances. Guys who have failed elsewhere and have been able to get second chances. Baker's done it. Darnold's done it. Geno's done it. And I'm sure I'm missing a couple more. But maybe that's what Steichen is thinking here. Maybe that's why he decided to bring him on over, because who knows? He's going to play. And this is me being condescending. He's going to play at some point this year. Richardson will not be available at some point this year. I can almost promise you that. And when he does play, maybe they're hoping they can find lightning in a bottle. Because the draft hasn't worked, and nothing they've done at that position has worked since Andrew
Luck. That's a fallback. That's a fallback. But they're going to be looking to that draft if this doesn't work out. I don't know if Daniel Jones is going to be the next coming, but
it's a flyer.
He is safe enough to get you through games.
But my point is, it's worth the flyer after all these comeback quarterbacks have made a name for themselves in recent history.
And if Daniel Jones can handle that Giant situation with grace and a bit of humility, he could handle whatever the Colts got coming. That we could say for sure. We got Mike Tannenbaum, the former general manager of the New York Jets, former executive vice president of football operations for the Miami Dolphins, current ESPN NFL insider. He is going to join us next. We get his talk week one of free agency, essentially, with the official, what is the word, tampering period.
Legal tampering period.
Floodgates have opened. So we got a lot to talk about with him, a lot of new storylines to follow. Stick around for it. Mike Tannenbaum, the ESPN NFL insider, will be coming up next. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Hey, ref, time out, man.
All right, team, we're only down by 5. We can still win this. Grab some water and get back out there. Wait, no, not that water. That's full of contaminants and pharmaceuticals. You need Culligan water. With their free water test and reverse osmosis purification system, you'll have clean, refreshing water just like a slam dunk. Schedule your free consultation today at Culligan.com. Culligan, your partner for better water.
Hey, Culligan man!
Welcome to TGL presented by SoFi, golf's newest league. It's sharp and it's electric. How is it sharp? How is it electric? Good questions. Try this on for size. 2 hours of hammer dropping, overtime forcing, playoffs on the line, golf. With 24 of the best players from the PGA Tour. Split into 6 teams. Atlanta, Boston, Jupiter, LA, New York, and the Bay. This isn't your average Sunday pickup game. Tune in every week for TGL matches. Only on ESPN. Keep up. It's golf.
Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fronrath, proudly representing the residents of South Florida since 1985, and proud supporter of Inter Miami FC on ESPN West Palm. Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fronrath has attorneys across South Florida ready to fight for your rights. They've recovered billions for their clients, and you won't pay anything unless you win your case. If you have been injured, call the attorneys at Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fronrath, 561-867-4117, or online at foryourrights.com. Main office in West Palm Beach.
Introducing the bold, the powerful, the all-new 2025 Range Rover Sport P360 SE. A luxury SUV that commands attention with its refined design, dynamic performance, and cutting-edge technology. Lease the 2025 Range Rover Sport for just $12.99 per month for 36 months. Drive in style, power, and comfort, all for just $12.99 a month. Visit Land Rover Palm Beach today and take the new Range Rover Sport for a spin. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details.
Breaking news on ESPN 106.3 is brought to you by St. Lucie Battery and Tire.
This just in. We begin this hour with breaking news.
When news breaks, ESPN 106.3 has it covered.
We've had developments. ESPN 106.3 can now report.
When your vehicle breaks, St. Lucie Battery and Tire fixes it. Stay tuned to ESPN 106.3 for more breaking news. Brought to you by St. Lucie Battery and Tire.
Tired of being sidelined by a sports injury? Get back in the game with Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Whether you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, you can get back to doing what you love with our compassionate orthopedic team. Experience a new level of care and get back to your best. Welcome to being treated like a pro. Make an appointment today at baptisthealth.net/ortho or call 833-556-6764.
This spring, speed returns to South Florida. NASCAR weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway. Go get it done. Where high octane meets the high banks. And gear up for spring break in the fast lane. 3 races, 3 days, one unforgettable weekend in racing paradise. NASCAR weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway. March 21st through the 23rd. Get your tickets now at homesteadmiamispeedway.com.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Russo and Rizzo rolling on here on ESPN 106.3. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat. As always, joined now by a friend of the program, somebody who has been the former general manager of the Jets and former executive vice president of football operations for the Miami Dolphins, somebody who is very used to the chaos that ensues throughout this week of the legal tampering period and free agency opening. It is Mr. Mike Tannenbaum. And we lost him?
Yes, we will
We're
get
him back soon.
We will get Mike back here
We
shortly.
lost Mike. So after all that intro, we'll circle that back in a few moments. But we lost Mike Tannenbaum. We'll get him back. In the meantime, I was curious about this because I've seen it everywhere. On the question marks surrounding Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. Really quickly, Mike, if you had to put a team to it on either side, Wilson, Rodgers, today, who are they going to be playing for in 2025?
Rodgers, Pittsburgh, and Russell Wilson. I'm going to go with an odd one here. I'm going to go with the Giants.
I don't think that's an odd one.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
I think that's pretty on point.
I thought that they might trade up. Like the hot rumor with the Giants is they're going to trade up, right, for one of the rookie quarterbacks. So
And if they trade up, they don't need to play him.
yeah, but I think Wilson. That would probably be my guess. Pittsburgh and New York.
Let's get some more hypotheses.
Excuse me.
And welcome in Mr. Mike Tannenbaum of ESPN, the NFL Insider, joining us now. Mr. Tannenbaum, how are we doing today? What's going on?
Sorry about that, guys. My Bluetooth. Doing great. How about yourself?
Great. Thank you for joining us. A couple things that, this is a chaotic week. So let's start here really quick. Mike, you've been a part of this week. Is this got to be the most hectic week of the general manager front office role in the NFL?
Yeah, without question. And it's exciting. And, I used to walk into the office, guys, and I was like, shoot. I look at the parking lot and look at all these people that are relying on me, and you just say to yourself, like, I really hope we're making more good decisions than bad decisions, and no one bats 1,000, and it's just been an absolute frenzy.
Now, Mike, when you look at the overall and what's happened so far in free agency, what's been the number one thing that stuck out to you about the trends right now?
A few things. Like, I think Chicago's offensive line much better. I think Seattle blowing up, Lockett, Geno, and DCAT. I did not see that coming at all. So, to me, those are some of the quick headlines.
And, Mike, let's stay on the Seattle while we talked about it. What Seattle, at least per reports, they wanted Geno back. They offered him a contract to come back. Geno said no, wanted more money, opted to go elsewhere. They opted to ship him off to Las Vegas, got something out of it, ended up getting Darnold, in my opinion, on a pretty good bargain of a deal comparatively, especially with the guaranteed money there. Is this a good move? Did they upgrade, downgrade? What's your perspective on what Seattle did and how they've approached this offseason?
Yeah, I really liked it. I think they got better, younger by 7 years and less expensive than a third-round pick. So I think that was really just good GMing by John Schneider. I think over the next several years, it'll be we'll look at Sam Darnold as the better quarterback than Geno Smith.
Mike, would you pay DK Metcalf 5 years, $150 million like the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing, and sending a second-round pick to Seattle?
I don't think so. I think he's a really good player. He scores points, so that usually goes to the top of the list. But look, if they come out of this with Aaron Rodgers, maybe my answer would change. But I really would want to have the quarterback position solidified before. DK is a great player. I mean, he's a physical freak. But does that mean George Pickens is graduating? There's probably more questions than answers right now. So I like it, but I'm concerned about does Pickens stay and who the quarterback is.
Mike, 8 of the top 11 non-quarterbacks in the NFL in terms of salary are wide receivers. Definitely the most saturated market, the most lucrative market comparatively to the other premier positions throughout the NFL. My perspective on this is I'm starting to lean on the side that I think this position is a little overrated, definitely overpaid. And I don't really think that in terms of what you're getting out of it and the proof in the pudding, I don't think wide receivers are nearly consistent enough, healthy enough to warrant some of these extensions. What's your takeaway on that?
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's all about supply and demand, right? So, if you look at the draft, you would say not a lot of receivers this year, and can the guys score points? You want to pay quarterbacks, you want to pay left tackles, pass rushers, and point scorers. Is Devontae Adams worth what he got nowadays? What will Cooper Kupp get? I think those are all contextual sort of discussions. But if the three of us were running a team, there's not a lot of great receivers this year.
Mike, who are some of the top-end receivers you would pay big money? Is it as simple as just Chase, Jefferson, and company?
Yeah, it would be Higgins would be up there as well because he scores points. It would have to be somebody that
CD Lamb, Mike, right?
Yeah, probably. But after that, I'd probably draw a line. Again, I put Higgins up there because he's such a mismatch because of his physicality. But George Pickens, unless I see 17 games of elite play, elite sort of temperament, I don't think I'd pay him.
I'm just thinking about all the great teams throughout the NFL. And the Eagles, they have good receivers. That is not the reason that team is great. That is a compliment to the team. They have a great offense, but I wouldn't say that the reason they're great and they were dominant is because of how great their receivers were. I think it's an add-on. Now, I'm thinking about this perspective-wise. Just 3 years ago, Cooper Kupp was, had the Triple Crown. 6 years ago, Michael Thomas was, 1,700 yards and 140 receptions. I don't know if the turnover is that consistent in terms of whether these guys are going to put together. Tyreek Hill led the league in receiving last year. And he's older, fine. But there is so much more that goes into a receiver having a great year than just the receiver being great. I think I'm a little off on that train. You mentioned the supply and demand. I think there's a plenty of supply that I don't think the demand should match.
Yeah, well, again, you got to score points to win, right? And clearly, you rather have Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and all. But I agree. It's hard, guys. Like, I just know from complementary team building standpoint, like when you have a need and you look at the draft, you're like, well, I like Matthew Golden and maybe two other guys, and you're like, shit, like we need a receiver. You got to be really careful just in terms of like, hey, if we could check the box in free agency or in a trade, like Deebo Samuel with the Commanders, right? Like now we can move on to something else.
Now, Mike, really quickly here, from your days as general manager, front office guy, has there been? I mentioned that we didn't mention it, but the Milton Williams contract. He was slated to kind of go to the Panthers. Patriots swept in with an offer you sort of can't refuse. Was there a moment like this for you in your tenure where you kind of swept in last second to steal a coveted free agent?
Yeah. I mean, look, I've done it long enough. It went both ways. Like we lost Antoine Winfield, who was Antoine Winfield Sr.'s father. He was a really covered corner came from out of Buffalo. We thought we had him. We lost him to Minnesota. And there was a couple the other way. I don't necessarily need to brag, but like I think we were pretty effective at being strategic and aggressive when necessary.
So that's interesting. So let me get a sense of this. When you think Winfield's going to be on the team, how close to getting him? Is that conversations with the agent? You're drawing up the paperwork, or is this just discussions over the phone, trying to come to some sort of mediation when he decides to jump ship to another team?
Yeah, no, we had him in the building, and he was wearing a jersey, a 26 New York Jets.
Oh my God,
jersey.
He was doing a photo shoot. Oh my goodness, Mike.
Yeah, his agent agreed to the deal. I was literally reviewing like the language, which 99.9% of the time in the NFL is perfunctory. And he said, hey, I'm going to go back to the hotel and read it, and we could sign it in an hour. And that was the last I ever talked to him.
Wow. Mike, is there Go ahead.
No, I said maybe he's on his way back to the facility as we speak.
Yeah. Mike, I'll be right back. Let me go get the pen from the car. All right.
Mike, do you have a story, a free agency story? I know it's technically the legal tampering period, but do you have a first day story of just the mayhem of free agency and signing guys for us?
Yeah, Rex going to go get Bart Scott. That comes to the top of mind. We signed Rex, and Bart was a free agent, and it was a guy that Rex just had to have. So, boy, did we overpay for Bart. No, I love Bart. Bart's a teammate. But yeah, he went and got him, and we were worried about Baltimore, but Rex physically made sure that was not going to happen.
Interesting. So, I guess in certain cases, when coaches come in, especially if it's new coaches or a new front office there, is it team by team in terms of the relationship, in terms of how you attack free agency? You got to work hand in hand with the coach and what the coach thinks the team needs, but there's also a sense of the general manager is meant to general manage the team. How hand in hand does the coach input come when it comes to free agency? Is it a little more than the draft?
Yeah, it's really a partnership because it has to be like, and I always define the job guys as like the point guard of information. Like if we go overpay for Bart Scott, Rex, like our left guard's a third round pick. Hey, no problem. That's good until you get to opening day and the left guard stinks, right? But you have to make sure they're very comfortable because like you're making decisions within context, within a finite set of dollars. So it's really important you're on the same page.
Mike, as far as what the New York Giants have done, they've signed about 4 defensive players. Obviously, Javon Holland, the safety, the most recent signee. What have you thought about their operation so far in the legal tampering period? And where do you think, and I know this is a loaded question, but where do you think they go quarterback-wise as well?
Well, let me ask you this. Where do you think they should go quarterback-wise?
Unless they were trading up, Mike, for Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders and believe they're one of those two are a franchise quarterback, they should probably just go sign a Russell Wilson, try to win games this year, and maybe try to get into the draft next year when it's quote-unquote a quarterback draft. That'd be my two best guess.
I think Mike hit it. I think you got to trade up. You have to trade up. If you're Joe Shane in that position, it's desperate, but they are desperate. You're not dancing around the question. John Mara knows that they're desperate. John Mara is desperate. You trade up and you take a swing, because if the swing hits, you keep your job. If Russell Wilson comes in the building and you're 3-6, they're getting fired. So I don't know how much of a conservative approach you could take in that sense. I would trade up and get the quarterback. That's my 2 cents.
I think, well, just to add one other factor, I think this goes candidly somewhat for the Browns and the Giants guys. Like, the way I look at it right now, and Dan Orlovsky disagreed because he had the top 3 quarterbacks, which were in mind Ward, Sanders, and then Jackson Dart going 1, 2, 3. I think it's Cam Ward, and then draw a massive line, and then 2 and 3 after that. Okay. Some people, by the way, will have Jackson Dart before Shedeur Sanders, which is always an interesting and fun debate. But my point is, like, I think there's a big gap. There's a bigger gap between 1 and 2 than 2 and 3.
Mike, why are you out on Shedeur? Or not? Let me rephrase. Why aren't you as high on Shedeur than you are on Cam Ward?
Yeah, I think Shedeur's going to be a good player. I think he has a chance to be a winning NFL player. I think Cam Ward has a chance to be a top 10 player. I think he's bigger, more athletic, better arm, moves better. I think Shedeur is extraordinarily tough. I think he sees the field well. I think he has a good arm, not a great arm. A little bit worried about like his overall speed and quickness, but again, I think he'll be a good player.
You think Cam's improvising skills that he really utilized in Miami, Mike, can translate to the league?
I do. I think he has really good movement skills within the pocket.
Well, so let's put yourself in their position for a second. Let's imagine that Mike Tannenbaum is now in the position of Joe Shane as general manager of the New York Giants. And you have your owner, John Mara, who's somebody who has openly said that I do not want to flush out this whole process again with new leadership and the whole thing. And let's put yourself in this position too. You're the same guy who the word is embarrassed on the out-of-season Hard Knocks last season. There's a sense of desperation to your job. You've had a couple defensive moves. You kind of raised the floor of the defense a little bit. You have a couple young players on offense. How does Mike Tannenbaum approach the most important position entering free agency and now the draft?
Yeah, I'm doubling down. I'm belt and suspenders. So I probably would have gone hard after Darnold, to be candid. But beyond that, I'm going to get Wilson. I'm going to get Roger. I'm going to get one of those, and then I'm going to try to draft one. I think that's really the only way you can really do it, because you can't put all your eggs in one basket, and it's such a consequential year, as you guys alluded to. So to me, like, it's belt and suspenders. It's getting the best bet. And look, dude, that's Kirk Cousins. Like, I'm scouring. Like, I don't know what Atlanta's doing, by the way. Like, what are they waiting on? Like, let Cousins go, save the $10 million roster bonus, and move on.
Mike, is that the most desperate team in the league right now as far as trying to make a move and trying to win, the New York Giants?
Well, I put Atlanta up there, too.
Okay.
Let's talk about this. Kirk Cousins, sitting there kind of eating up cap for the Atlanta Falcons. Are they kind of waiting to see how this Rodgers-Wilson thing unfolds? Because those guys, they could just sign straight up. Or is this a position where they're just not even shopping him?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a hard one. Like, I don't really understand. Like, again, like, the whole idea, guys, like, you have to be able to cut your losses sometimes and move on. And when you're in a situation like this, I don't know what you're waiting for.
Do you believe in Penix, Mike?
Yeah, I think so.
I got to think.
They certainly do.
Yeah.
I got to think the Falcons are pretty happy with this. Yeah, we overpaid for a quarterback, but at least we hit on the draft pick. I think that's the bottom line.
That's right. That's right. And I think more fundamentally, too, like, if you're 60, 70%, like, you know how it is. If you keep Cousins and the first time Penix throws an incomplete pass where you have a 3-game losing streak, it could crater your franchise because half the people will be calling for Cousins again.
Yeah, good point, Mike. Last thing here. We'll get your take on this, and then we'll let you go. Aaron Rodgers, you had to pick a team, a jersey he's going to wear next season, or none at all. Where is that going to be in your head?
Yeah, I think it's Pittsburgh. I really do. And I think, isn't that a great Hard Knocks, right? Tomlin and Rodgers. Would that be absolutely great?
Oh, my God. Sign me up. Set up a camera. Get and they're I don't know if Tomlin would be into it, but Rodgers would make that the Rodgers show pretty quickly. But, Mike, we appreciate you giving us the time, as always. Appreciate the insight into free agency a little bit. Looking forward to speaking again soon.
Thanks, Mike T.
Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
That's Mike Tannenbaum, the ESPN NFL insider, the former general manager of the New York Jets, on Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. We'll loop in a little Christian Cat into the conversation coming up a bit next. We got Steve Politziner coming up a little later on in the program. Got a lot to do still, so stick around for it. Second hour of Russo and Rizzo coming up on ESPN 106.3.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Call for a rideshare. Hop on an airboat. Dust off those rolly snakes. It doesn't matter how you get to McDonald's, just as long as you hurry. Because now, for a limited time, 2 favorites are back. The Daily Double and Hot and Spicy McChicken for only $4.49. This deal won't last, especially on a classic like a Daily Double. 2 100% beef patties seasoned to perfection and melty American cheese. What are you waiting for? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Single item at regular price.
There's a domino effect that takes place when the first person orders a hash brown with their breakfast sandwich. Suddenly, no one in the car can think of a single reason why not to get a little extra crunch. And you'll hear a chorus of, "I'll do the same," from the back seat.
Get deals on our breakfast classics, like the $5.49 breakfast combo meal exclusively in the McDonald's app. Offer valid through 3/31/25 at participating McDonald's. Valid once a day. Must opt into rewards.
Listen up, team. Recycling is just like football. You can't win if you're out of formation. Yellow bin? That's your quarterback. Give it all the paper. Blue bin? Wide receiver. Feed it all the containers. But no interceptions. Plastic bags and greasy pizza boxes have no place on this field. Now, follow the playbook. Get out there and recycle right. Sponsored by the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County. Let's keep winning for the planet!
Anna Jar and Levine.
Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 106.3.
WUUB Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
The powers that be want you to believe that sunspots are interfering with our signal from ESPN Radio. Little flares from 93 million miles away, disrupting the feed of my station? Hi, it's Evan Cohen from Unsportsmanlike. Oh, sure, scientists say solar storms mess with satellites, right when I'm a Bill Belichick? Forget it. Tune in before sunrise when we're immune to the sun's so-called harmful rays. Wake up with Unsportsmanlike on ESPN 106.3. Before the sun starts its daily attack.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your boat, boat wins.
What are you going to do? Take the boat out for a spin or go mail something? Boat wins! Are we cleaning the patio or taking the boat out fishing? Boat wins! Are we skipping that eye exam to go sailing? Boat wins!
Rescheduling eye exams can be a nightmare.
All right, fine. Eye exam, then boat. Yeah!
With Progressive, you can bundle your boat with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings on your boat. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
Want to accelerate your career as a manager or executive in the exciting industry of sports? Florida Atlantic University's MBA in Sport Management program is ranked #1 in Florida and 10th in the world. Students learn practical and applied skills from top faculty and experts who work in the industry. With a 94% placement rate for all grads, the full-time MBA program sets students up for success in the world of sports. Check out Florida Atlantic University's MBA in Sport Management program today by going to business.fau.edu.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
Ball into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy!
Light him up, Colin!
Second hour, Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3, Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. It's Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, and Christian Catt with you as always. If you missed any of the show today, missed that first hour with Mike Tannenbaum, you can listen back at Russo and Rizzo on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, all those great places, or you can watch back on our live stream at YouTube, Twitter/X, and Facebook at ESPN West Palm once again. Well, it's baseball season. It's beautiful outside in sunny South Florida, and all these teams are playing in the area. You got 5 teams basically within driving distance, and West Palm Beach specifically is the place to be for spring training. We were there yesterday. Cacti Park of the Palm Beaches. They have all the action around the Nationals and the Astros. We had General Manager Mike Rizzo on of the Nationals yesterday live on site. You enjoy the biggest stars in Major League Baseball coming into town, grab a cold drink, bring your friends in town, indulge in some amazing ballpark eats. They got it all covered at Cacti Park with plenty of fun promotions for you and the family, from their family 4-pack to fireworks shows, Bark at the Park night. Take a guess on what that is. Experience big league action up close and personal while creating lifelong memories. Tickets on sale now at cactipark.com. Don't wait, secure that spot today, and let's play some baseball. Well, we got Christian Catt in the studio with us as always. Christian, how are you, my friend?
Superb. Absolutely. Positively superb.
Is the wide receiver position an overpaid position?
I think it's like you brought up the lineman in the conversation. I told you this off air. It's simply the reason why what we believe is the second most important position in football, probably your left tackle or opposite of your right-handed, left-handed quarterback. Your line's very important. But individually, one good offensive lineman does not make a great offensive line. 1.5, even one wide receiver can make a great wide receiver core.
Now, I wouldn't put $45 million worth.
Yeah.
No, I will say the left tackle is probably
the most. You got left tackles making 15. You got 4 guys making $15 million a year. I guess it adds up to one receiver. 4. You would rather have 4 good offensive linemen for $12 or $15 million a year, or one wide receiver for $45 million.
And then now I'm in the deep end here because I can't speak for organizations, but I got to assume they believe that they can develop linemen better than they can develop a wide receiver.
To that point, remember Mike T was like, oh, well, we're going to have we just talked to Mike Tannenbaum last segment, and he said if we're going to overpay on a specific position, in his instance, it was Bart Scott, he goes, we're going to have a 3rd-round guard. And then, to your point, Christian, it is up to you, to the organization, to fit him into that role and to make him a starter from day one.
I guess the question is, do you think there's more good offensive lines or bad offensive lines in the NFL?
I think there are more bad ones.
I would agree. So I think there's more bad units. If we're trusting the development of said unit, I don't know how much. They're few and far between, especially this year's draft, this year's free agent market. It was light, especially on interior offensive linemen. Left tackles usually stay around.
I'm with Colin. I love my Hogs, man. Sign me up. I made the mistake when I was a wee young lad of complaining when the Browns drafted Joe Thomas. That was the last time I ever made that
better agents.
mistake.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah. I'm not saying they need to make $50 million a year, but geez, 8 of the top 12 were wide receivers.
I think the problem is longevity. It really. I think the problem is for how many years is an offensive lineman at the peak of his career? I'd say about 2.5 to 3 years.
I don't think there's more long careers with great offensive linemen comparatively to receivers.
Maybe I'm off the ball here, but the point I'm trying to make is the position is it's violent, man. you're not going to be able to be at the pinnacle of your career, I think, longer than maybe a receiver or a quarterback. That's my 2 cents.
I disagree with that completely. Lane Johnson, Trent Williams.
Joe Thomas was the one that comes. He's
Lane Johnson's been great forever.
Joe Thomas is the outlier to
Tyron
me.
Smith was great for a long time. Zach Markin's been great for forever. Just retired. I don't know. I think there's a lot more great longevity attached to that position. Jonathan Ogden, I remember we talked to him on Super Bowl week. That guy was a 7 straight first-team All-Pros. Anthony Munoz, another great one. Orlando Pace, another great one. I don't know. That's just my takeaway. How many receivers have those type of careers where they're first-team All-Pro year in and year out? That's just I don't know. I see it that way.
It's also when you go to the bargaining table, there's a lot more tangible chips in the corner of the receivers where you can't lie about yards, touchdowns.
There's a quantitative
receptions.
Measurement.
Exactly. It's a lot easier to state your case versus
pancakes.
Pro Football Focus's top-rated guards.
Yeah.
That's what you're going on.
The ultimate unsung hero, but it's the reason that teams win games. That's why I'm advocating for them. I really am. I don't understand why DJ Moore, and I understand it's a bad contract, fine, but that caliber of player, if you're paying the 1A, that group of 4 at the top that have consistently been great, Jamar being one of them, Justin Jefferson being one of them, fine. But some of these guys, T. Higgins, we're going to pay him $40 million a year.
Mike T would. How about that? Mike Tannenbaum putting T. Higgins with the likes of Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson.
Do those guys change teams? No, they don't. That's the bottom line. Your quarterback and your line changes teams.
I think there's a lot of changing of the guard when it comes to offensive lines at the end of the year. Maybe
there's not a lot of good ones. There's a more selective amount of great offensive linemen than there are great receivers. Get better agents, fellas. If any of you are listening, get better agents. Improve that market. Motivate the kid who goes to Cardinal Newman right here in Palm Beach County to not put on the receiving gloves. Motivate him to start eating the pancakes. IHOP all you can eat.
There's a big difference between a body frame for a receiver and a body frame for an O-lineman. But
I
understand the point.
Who can put on weight.
Those guys, dude, Colin, those offensive line are in Wisconsin eating corn. They're at Iowa eating corn, you know? They're in the Midwest. Hogs, baby. Hogs.
And the 10-year-old who's looking up to this NFL player when he sees the contracts. Oh, wow. Penei Sewell. I know he's got a big contract, but my point being, he's making $30 million a year. Like that. Let's do a little 5 at 5, presented by our friends over at Flagler Credit Union.
Number 1.
Number 1 of today's 5 at 5. It broke just as the show began. Tiger Woods tore his Achilles. Yep, Tiger Woods tore his Achilles when practicing. He's going to be out for at least a year. Do you think we're going to see Tiger Woods play competitive golf again? My dad is convinced. I'm going to give you my dad's opinion. Big golf fan. He thinks we're going to see him in the Champions Tour. The old folks, essentially, with Tom Watson and them. I think he's above that. And I think that we have seen the last of him, and he's going to become Charlie Woods' coach.
You sold me on the Charlie Woods' coach. I'd be blown away if that's the way he goes out. I'm not saying he needs to win a tournament, but at least have a farewell tour. Couple. I don't know. And I don't know if he'd be ready for something like, next April for those big tournaments. But it's not a great way to go out. It really isn't.
I don't need to see Tiger Woods on the senior tour. Your dad said that. I completely agree. I do not need to see Tiger Woods on the senior tour. We saw him win his last one, Christian. And that was 2019 at the Masters.
Yeah.
He's been done. I like when Tiger is at the events because it's nostalgic for me. He's my favorite golfer of all time. So my dad's favorite golfer is Jack Nicklaus because he was the best golfer during when my dad was, doing his thing. For me, it's Tiger Woods. And it's not even, I don't even think it's a debate.
It's not a debate.
So he's been done. I think that's what everyone has been unwilling to admit for a long time, is that the GOAT has been done for a long time. We just like seeing him at these events. I call it coping. I'm coping at this point.
Is this the best golfer of all time who has had put together the better part of 30 years for the most part, pretty great, consistent golf and has been must-see television, still is. You want the last time we see him in the last match of the big TGL regular season, and then an Instagram post saying, I ruptured my Achilles, I'm retired.
It reminds me a lot of when Kobe was done, but he didn't want to hang it up. You know what I'm saying?
At least, Kobe had an excellent retirement tour.
He did. We could do the same for Tiger if that's what we want to do, but folks, Tiger's been done for 5 years. I think that's the coping mechanism that we're trying to deal with of our favorite golfer of our generation being done.
I don't think there's an argument there. I just think if you're going to end a career, if you're going to finish it, I don't think this is the way to do it.
Well, but it's not like it's possibly
it's not like it's
within his control.
True. Medically retired, of course.
He can't just choose to win now.
I understand. I'm not saying he needs to win. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he needs to win. I'm not expecting him to win. At least go to a tournament.
Have him. All right, so during his quote-unquote retirement.
Whatever tournament he chooses, you don't think that'd be the best-selling golf event in the entire year? Tiger's last event?
Have him hit the first drive at each major, and we'll retire him. Right?
Where's the fun in that? Just let him play 18.
Can't. His body won't let him. He can't play 4 days in a row.
Why these Masters exceptions exist is for the nostalgia. For once you won that green jacket, you've earned it. That's why we saw Arnold Palmer play the Masters well until he's old.
Obviously, this news dropped right before the show. And Colin was like, we don't need, what are we going to watch Tiger go shoot one over at Augusta? We're going to watch Tiger for a day until he's cut? This is where we're at with him.
How do you want to close his career? What comparatively with what? If he could do it, I'm saying do it.
Just step away.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I'm completely fine with that.
The lasting memory of Tiger Woods will not be the past 5 years.
No.
True.
The lasting memory for me is going to be him winning in 2019. Having Charlie, his mother.
If he comes back for one more.
Poor Tiger just lost his mother. You know what I mean? In 2019, his mother was at the Masters. Charlie was at. That's what I'm going to remember.
Is it a pro or a con to have him come back for one or two more? So he's a bit of a distraction. I'm willing to listen to that because he's not the best in playing right now. He's going to be 3 over. You're going to be following that on the TV screen, but I understand.
And Christian, I hate to be dominating this conversation, but do we need him to cope? He comes back for you to cope. It's a cope. He's not going to compete.
You go back to honor his career. That's why anybody does it. Go back to honor his career.
But have him just be there then. You guys joked around with me with the opening tee shot, but just make it the Tiger Woods tour. You know what I mean? He's at all the majors and the events and whatever, and you honor him that way. What, you're going to trot a guy out there who can't play? His body's not letting him play anymore,
a little patronizing. I don't know.
He'll have a spot for as long as he wants one, so it's just up for Tiger Woods and the people around him to get the picture and see what's worth it. Because I'm sure right now, priority number one for Tiger Woods, believe it or not, is not winning. It is setting up Charlie Woods to win.
Yeah. And I think he's exhausted. Wouldn't you agree?
Sure. That's on tour. That's him doing a whole tour, whole season. You think the guy's never going to play 18 again?
He only plays 4 to 6 events a year now.
Right, nowadays. But you think he's never going to play 18 again? He's going to be able to play. We're going to see him again. That's my take.
He'll be the captain of the Ryder Cup. Not the one that's coming up, obviously. That's Keegan Bradley. But the next opportunity, because the captain normally does not play in it. So we'll see him around. He'll be around the game.
Of course. He's an advocate for golf. He's an advocate for golf in the area, too. He's got the TGL sitting there. He's not going to leave that. But my point being is, this is my takeaway. This is not the last we'll see with him.
And can we put Tiger on a super team next year at TGL? Can we put him on the Miami Heat of 2011 next year?
Let's make Tiger the official.
The Miami Heat of 2011 that lost?
12. Give him my point.
Make him the official at TGL. The ref who really does not need to be there.
All right, now you're patronizing.
I got Tony Brothers in there.
Oh, God, the worst. One of the worst referees I've ever seen in my life.
Number 2.
Tony Brothers.
The 49ers, they unloaded on some veterans on their roster. Defensive tackles, Malik Collins, Javon Hargrave, fullback Kyle Jesselnick, gone. Jesselnick is a comedian. Debo Samuel's gone. Can the 49ers get back to be an NFC powerhouse this season after the bad year last year, or is the window just closed?
They're getting a little younger, so it's all about how they handle the draft now. This is not about retaining stars. This is more about rebranding into a bit of a youth movement. Let the youth complement the veterans. If you hit on the draft, you'll be able to get the most out of your veterans. So now it's a matter of if they're going to draft well. They've lost that window. You'll see after the draft. You'll see if they did a good job or a bad job there. That's my takeaway there. I can't make any declarations after the free agency period where they did what they were supposed to do and get a little younger.
This is a team that's been to 2 Super Bowls in 6 years. This is a team who went to a Super Bowl 6 years ago, struggled for about a season and a half after that, and then figured it out. I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think San Francisco, pending what Brock Purdy is next year, I think San Francisco is going to be right back into the conversation. They have Ayuk locked down, and I think they got battered by injuries. They got battered by bad injuries, and they were just hurt at the wrong times. I don't see this being a year-and-a-half project. I see them competing again next year. So, yes, I think they can be a powerhouse in the NFC comparatively to what there is. The 3 teams that come to mind, the Eagles, the Lions, the Commanders, and then after that, who do you got? I'll take San Francisco.
Over the rest?
Yeah. I'll take those 3 ahead of San Francisco. That's it.
The Rams?
A lot of it's riding on Stafford. And
I mean,
I'm not saying
a lot of every team is riding on the quarterback.
And please don't take it because I drive you nuts when I do this. I don't know if we're going to get the same Stafford next year. It's another year. Is he going to?
Yeah, we don't know anything.
Exactly. So to my point about Brock Purdy, that division's going to be tough. With Seattle now getting Sam Darnold, with the Rams being what, a drive away from going to the Super Bowl, the NFC Championship game. I always get that wrong. And then now with the Niners, the rejuvenated Niners.
Number 3.
The New York Giants have been busy signing a bunch of guys in free agency, loaded up on the defensive side by signing safety Javon Holland, cornerback Paulson Adebo, D lineman Chauncey Golston, Roy Robertson Harris, a lot of dudes.
Yep.
They also got Darius Slayton back in blue. Do you like what the Giants have done so far?
I do, because it's setting them up for a big draft. They don't necessarily need to splash too much, but they improved the defense with that, which already has a very good defensive line, a good front 7. But their secondary was terrible. Everybody was giving them crap for letting McKinney walk. All right, we get Javon Holland in there, and a little cheaper at that as well. You got some offensive talent. Now it's a matter of if Shane and Dable, they're not done, but can utilize the rest of free agency and that draft to really make the right decision at the right position. And that is the quarterback position. So we will see what happens there. But in terms of setting yourself up, filling in holes with cement, I don't think they've done a terrible job.
It's a lot of money to be spent by a GM who we're not sure is going to be there by the midseason point. That's where I'm at with that team.
What do you want him to do?
Isn't that more reason to spend money?
They're desperate. They're desperate. And we talk about that all the time. I've been the one who's been telling you guys I think the Giants are the most desperate team. I see it a lot in sports where you got a desperate GM trying to make moves. They ultimately turn out to be bad moves, and then you're stuck with those players and those contracts.
Yeah, but these are not 6-year contracts. These are he signed Javon Holland with a 3-year deal.
Fair enough. But I don't know. That's my 2 cents on it. They really need to get that quarterback position right. They really need to get a quarterback in there, and that's going to be able to win some football games this year. Or else you mentioned if they bring in Russell Wilson, they go 3-6, they're done. So that's the reality of the situation. They spent a lot. They spent some money for a GM, made a lot of moves and spent some money that we're not sure is going to be there at the midway point.
Like, if you were going to die next week and you didn't have anyone to leave your money to, you'd spend it all. If your career as a general manager for the Giants was going to die next week, you're going to spend all the money.
I guess my
you're worried about the next guy that's not even in yet.
My gripe could be with ownership that they probably should have just blown this thing up. It was a good time to get. You already got rid of Daniel Jones. It's a good time to reset, and they didn't do it.
Number 4.
Couple of teams that still need quarterbacks for 2025 are the Jets, the Giants, the Titans, the Steelers, and the Browns. Out of all of those quarterback-needy teams, will any of them find long-term solutions this offseason?
And obviously, Colin, like the Jets signed Justin Fields. Some of these teams, the Browns signed Kenny Pickett, God knows why. But there have been moves that have been made. They're not the long-term answer, though. So are those teams going to find a long-term answer this offseason?
No, probably not. I don't think you're at a team, other than the Giants, who have a high draft pick, I don't think you're going to see that many long-term options.
Hold on. Tennessee and Cleveland have the first 2 picks. They can select rookies.
I think the Giants are going to get that. I think the Tennessee is the one that's going to balk and defer. Okay. They want to, and if I'm going to make a bet, I would say that both, one or the other, of the Ward and Shador Sanders, I'll even include Dart. One of the three, I think, will be a good player statistically.
Giants, like the move from Shane and Daboll to go get Ward makes so much mind-numbing sense because of how poorly the reach on Daniel Jones worked about 7 years ago now. To get the clear-cut, head and shoulders, number one quarterback on the board.
Fans can't blame you there.
Yeah, it's like, what do you want me to
Either
do?
the kid's going to stink or he's not going to stink, and we're just going to have to deal with it.
I don't think Cleveland and Tennessee move. I don't think they move. And then the Giants are stuck with, Jackson Dart or whatever at 3. Whoever they want to choose at 3. That's...
Don't underestimate the Browns' ability to mess this up.
No, stop it. Stop it. I will not take that slander from my football team.
You know it better than I do, though.
Andrew, I do. And that's why I don't need to hear it from you. Andrew Berry, okay? He said, if I can take him for his word.
The general manager
of the Cleveland Browns. Sorry for the no context. He said that there drastic changes are going to come to the quarterback room this offseason. I think Kenny Pickett is the first move of maybe even a draft pick and another veteran coming into this locker room because Deshaun Watson probably won't play next year. And even if he was able to play, I don't even know if he would play. He would just sit there and collect his $92 million remaining on his contract.
Give him an offer they can't refuse. That's the bottom line.
Give him an offer they can't refuse.
I could see a 1 year Pickett, actually.
Stop
1 year
it.
Pickett and
Do
the
not
next year's
do that
quarterback
to me.
draft.
Kenny
That kind of makes sense to me.
Kenny Pickett?
Especially if you can unload all of that not all of it, but as much Deshaun Watson money as they've already taken steps to do, you put yourself in a hole. And the clearest point from point A to point B seems to be that.
These guys want to compete. The ownership group, Barry, they want to compete. Kenny Pickett, you're going to win 5 games with that guy. You're going to win 4 games with that bum.
Goes back to the point that the Browns don't even know what type of team they want to be. They don't know if they're reloading, resetting, or retooling. Number 5.
Number 5.
We are not in football season, so what does that mean? We're watching something different on our TV sets, night in and night out. It's movie season. We just had the Academy Awards. We got some good shows airing right now. White Lotus, one of them. Well, let's talk a little bit of cinema. Rizzo, you just got caught up on Severance.
What a show. Christian, what a weird, funky, and fun show. Very impressed.
It feels like a chore. I'm on season 2, episode 4, and it has taken me a month and a half to get to that point.
So have you watched, I forget what number Woe's Hollow is?
That's number 4. I just watched that one.
How can you say it's a chore after watching that episode?
Good episode.
I agree with Christian.
Good episode.
Wholeheartedly.
I wasn't blown
Christian,
away.
how
I
about
thought the end of season 1 was very, very good. I agree with that. I thought that's great. Does it not feel like a burn? Oh my God, it's a slow burn. Even the first part of season 2, guys, we're taking steps backward.
If I could open up the curtain a little bit, Christian, it was Friday night. I got home from work, already went to the gym, so able to get into the jammies, and I'm on the couch by 6:30. Incredible timing. I'm like, all right, I'll start Severance.
You're already caught up.
3 a.m. comes by, season 1's dusted. Saturday.
I binged that in a day?
I binged that in 9 hours.
That movie, that show is not bingeable in my opinion. That show is a drag to start.
I disagree. I couldn't stop watching.
To start in the first season? Am I wrong on that?
No, I couldn't. I disagree. Hang on, Christian. From someone who just literally watched 16 hours of it in 3.5 days. They end the episode on such a cliffhanger where I'm like, all right, I can't go to bed now.
Your dad was so right to not bring you to meet Timothy Chalamet. You know nothing about cinema.
Oh, please.
But Colin, so Colin, hang on. Colin thinks Severance.
I like
little
it.
overrated.
I like it.
But what
I don't
he's saying
think it's
is,
great.
Christian,
I do not think it's just not consistent enough.
Christian,
it is not consistent enough.
It's a little overrated. It's what
not,
it is.
It's not consistent enough.
So you're watching Reacher, Colin?
Have you watched it? It's so fun.
Any relation to Jack Reacher? Any relation to Jack Reacher and the movies?
That's exactly what it is.
Oh, okay. All right. Now you say Dan Castle.
That show is funny. It's mind-numbing entertainment.
Honest to God, I had no idea. That's why I asked. That Castle's in it? Is that correct?
I think he's
Alan
the main
Ritchson.
character. Yeah.
And he commits 6-7 life in jail crimes an episode. It's very fun.
What's next? Fast and Furious, Colin?
Good movies for what it is. But Severance takes itself too seriously. You're trying to get a sense of what's going on. I feel like the tape stacks, they go 2 steps back, 3 steps forward. You kind of have to deal with the bad to get to the good.
All right, so Christian asked the question. We didn't even get to the question. What's next?
I'll tell you. Have you guys watched Succession?
I haven't.
Neither have I.
Where's it on?
I couldn't get through the first 4 episodes.
Succession?
Dude.
You tried watching?
That show was not for me.
I'm in the middle of the rewatch of Succession.
What
All.
streaming service?
It's on Max.
It's on Max.
Okay, thank you.
And it cleaned up at the Emmys for good reason. The acting is ridiculous. Just started the rewatch, watched episode 1 last night, and it's even better than the first time because you don't have to learn the characters. That's the best part of a rewatch.
That's the problem with the show,
everything.
though. None of the characters are likable.
So
not a single one is likable.
I love the Disgusting Brothers. I'm a Disgusting Brothers fiend, dude.
So, C-Cat, to your point, watching something you like a second time, there's nothing better. Because I just did it, and you guys are going to make fun of me, I just did it with Jujutsu Kaisen, one of my animes, and I'm like, oh my God, I understand everything 10 times better, and I can't wait now for season 3. Boys, mine for you, something you guys would like. I'm here to protect Silo. I'm 5 episodes into Silo. Really good. And it's on Apple TV. It's a thriller-esque kind of sci-fi.
I've heard that's good.
Colin would really like it. Because you want to know why? There's no 2 steps forward, 5 steps back.
Am I wrong in that?
Every episode is new.
Severance has some that are complete drags. I don't know. That's just my takeaway with it. I liked episode 4. I'm not in a desperate desire to go.
I'm not trying to.
I'm going to try to finish it, but yes.
I'm not trying to spoil the show, but I love the main character's brother-in-law. That's not spoiling anything.
Okay.
I love the brother-in-law. Cracks me up to Kingdom Come, dude. Cracks me up to Kingdom Come, and the sister too, my lady.
It's too self-serious.
It's a really good show, man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's good. It's not great. It is not great. I am wholeheartedly confident in that.
Then you need to take on it. You need to go get a trip on down to the mechanical room in Silo.
It's not great. I didn't think Squid Game was great. I mean, I don't know.
Wow. Squid Game was unreal for me.
What's the last new TV show you watched that were like, okay, this is going to somehow find its way in my top 5?
I think The Bear is great.
I couldn't watch season 3. I couldn't do
I
it.
think The Bear is fantastic.
What streaming service?
That is on Hulu.
Thank you.
FX production.
You don't know any of these shows, do you? You haven't heard of The Bear?
Never heard of The Bear. Never heard of Jack Reacher. Never. Do you want to know what I used to say about Jack Reacher?
Jack Reacher is it's no Emmy-winning show.
The
but
boys.
it's fun.
So
it's
the
blind
boys
fun.
at college got the biggest kick. They're like, it's like Jack Reacher 2. I said, oh, Jack Reacher reaching for a sequel. That was a kick for a little bit. But yeah, Kyle, what are some other ones?
Well,
that
The Bear, I think is great. I think that is an excellent show. It's real. The characters are likable. Get somebody to root for. There's nobody to root for in Succession. At Severance, we got a couple guys. I mean, but any Audi, whatever it is, we got to move on. We got to bring in Steve Politzino, the Good Car Brands president, coming up next on Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
West Palm Beach is the place to be for spring training, and Cacti Park at the Palm Beaches has all the action around the Nationals and the Astros. Enjoy the biggest stars in Major League Baseball, grab a cold drink, and indulge in amazing ballpark eats. Cacti Park has plenty of fun promotions for you and the family, from their family 4-pack, fireworks shows, to the Bark at the Park night. Experience big league action up close and personal while creating lifelong memories. Tickets are on sale now over at cactipark.com. Don't wait. Secure your spot today and let's play ball.
At St. Lucie Battery and Tire, batteries came before tires. We've been selling and servicing all types of batteries for over 50 years. So when you need a battery for nearly anything, we have it, as well as the fast, professional installation you need. We carry premium batteries for all your needs: automotive, commercial, marine, RV, and specialty. We also offer delivery and on-site installation, serving our customers quality products for over 50 years in the home of honest, reliable service. Go to slbt.com and book your next appointment.
Welcome to Recycle Right Trivia, sponsored by the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County. Question 1. What belongs in the yellow recycling bin?
Newspapers, cereal boxes, magazines?
Correct! Now, blue bin. What goes in there?
Plastic bottles, aluminum cans, glass jars?
You nailed it! Remember, Palm Beach County, recycle right and stay in the game for our planet.
For a limited time at Verizon, you can get our best price ever. That's 4 lines on unlimited welcome for just $25 a line per month with autopay plus taxes and fees. You'll also get the new iPhone 16 Pro, 4 of them for the entire family when you trade in up to 4 phones from our top brands. That's a new phone for everyone, only on the network you can count on. Verizon. Visit a store today. 20 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply for phone offer. See Verizon.com for details.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
As market dynamics change, the quality of service you receive from your accounting firm shouldn't. Anshin Accountants and Advisors take the time to get to know you and your unique circumstances to help resolve complex issues and develop innovative tax and accounting solutions tailored to meet your goals. If you're a high net worth individual or business owner eager for a strategy to maximize tax savings, let Anshin deliver where others can't. Visit ANCHIN.com. Anshin Accountants and Advisors, recalculating what's possible.
Ready to take on any terrain? The all-new 2025 Defender 110 P300S is here. Built for those who crave adventure without compromising on luxury. Lease the powerful 2025 Defender 110 P300S for just $889 per month for 36 months. Whether you're tackling the toughest roads or cruising the city, the Defender is ready for it all. Don't wait. Visit Land Rover Palm Beach today and experience the Defender like never before. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details.
Calling all sports fans, grab your MVP card and head to Duffy's where you can catch all of the action. Not an MVP? Sign up for free and start earning rewards today. Duffy's is voted the best sports grill year after year with their award-winning burgers and wings. Don't forget about Duffy's famous 2-for-1 drinks all day, every day. And with over 80 TVs in every location, you'll never miss a minute of the game. Visit Duffy'sMVP.com to learn more. Duffy's, our game is always on.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Mike and Christian are carrying water for severance like you wouldn't believe.
Dude, Mr. Milchick. Mr. Milchick!
Talk about one of the best dressed men on television is that gentleman right there.
And how about the dancing Jello party? Or what was it?
That was awesome.
The melon party?
I agree. That was awesome.
That was an unreal scene.
Unreal.
Towing the line.
That's great.
Yeah, you're probably right. I should probably stop.
Great. Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. Welcoming in a good friend of ours, the Good Karma Brand's president, Palm Beach Sports Commission Hall of Famer, presented by Duffy's Sports Grill. It is Steve Politziner with us now. Steve, hello. What's going on? How are you?
Gentlemen, been enjoying the show. Listen to Tenenbaum for a while. Good football talk today.
Well, we put him in the shoes of Joe Shane, the New York Football Giants, and I wanted to get your sense here. We've been talking about what they should do, how they should handle this. I think they've actually done a halfway decent job at loading up that defense, giving them at least one side of the ball where there's less question marks. And now they just got to figure out what they're going to do at quarterback here. If you're Joe Shane, you got that short leash. You got to figure it out by Thanksgiving or else you're out. Don't let the door hit you in the rear end. What would you do, Steve Politziner?
I think you got to get a veteran. It sounds like they'll get the loser of the Rodgers, Russell Wilson sweepstakes because, there's really not much left that you can count on. Yeah, sure. If Cousins available, I would definitely be into Cousins. In fact, Cousins was sort of my wish going into the offseason, but it's weird. I don't know what the Falcons are doing. I heard Mike Tannenbaum pretty much say earlier, just release him already and take the cap hit. But yeah, I think you have to have a veteran that can play, not a veteran that can't play, not a Daniel Jones, not a Jimmy Garoppolo, not a truly a backup, like a veteran that can play. And there are very few left, so they better jump on it.
So, Steve, you're out on getting a rookie and trading up?
I am out on starting a rookie.
Okay.
And I am out on, and the Giants aren't. They're not going to do Ward or Sanders. I don't see it. I don't see the Giants doing that.
And Steve, if I could add a wrinkle to it, I don't think Tennessee and Cleveland, I don't think they're going to want to play ball. I think they're going to want to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the quarterback right now. And I know I'm saying that as I'm saying I don't see it for the Giants. They just don't feel like it's something they're aiming for. They're not like putting it out there. It's not the way they tend to operate. And they need stability. Because starting a rookie quarterback again when you're still going through an offensive line, they have very limited weapons, outside of Neighbors. I know they just re-signed Slayton like that. We're supposed to get excited about that. It's just not a great scenario there. Please do a veteran. It reminds me a little bit of let's get when Kurt Warner was there, and maybe you're seeding something for the future. But for now, just go a vet.
Steve, to segue really quickly, you're a Yankee guy. Garrett Cole, starting pitcher for the New York Yankees, felt a little tingle in his elbow. All of a sudden, a couple opinions later, he is getting Tommy John shut down for the year. And what was once a position group for the Yankees that was pretty solid coming into the year with some depth, all of a sudden with Gill shut down and now Cole out for the next year, they have some questions now after this offseason for them. Yankees, what's the perspective on them? Do they continue to try to make a move for a starting pitcher? Is it do or die time for the New York Yankees for you?
Yeah, it's pretty devastating. I mean, this isn't last year where Cole will be back and maybe it'll be a month. And this is devastating, for the Yankees. And I don't think Marcus Stroman, Carlos Carrasco and Will Warren are going to going to get it done. So they better go out and get something because it's so light right now in the AL. Like you can string it together and compete, but they're not going to be able to do it without another frontline starter. They have to. Problem is, what do you give up?
Yeah.
Right? The Yankees don't even want to give up enough to get Arenado. Now they're going to set that back, and what are you going to give up? You're going to give up Jason Dominguez, who hasn't looked good in spring, or some of the deeper assets, George Lombard Jr., guys like that. I mean, I'm getting very in the weeds on the Yankees, but
you're on top of it.
He is.
That's what you got to do. I was at spring training all weekend. They were here.
Steve, what's your realistic expectations with this team?
Prior to Cole's injury, playoffs, and who knows what happens.
Fair.
Now, with Cole out, there's no stud. There's no
wow.
stud. There's Rodon, and a bunch of question marks.
Fried's good.
Yeah, and I was going to say that as well.
Fried. Yeah. Fried.
Now, the Yankees, you guys, Steve, you didn't get Soto, and Colin's been on this for a while, too. Like, they got other places of need. Like, they spent that money elsewhere. They went out and got Devin Williams as well. Like, this is a team that is loaded with talent. I mean, I understand the Orioles are going to be better probably. The Red Sox are going to be better. The Rays are going to be better. This is probably one of the hardest divisions in baseball. But I totally see them at least getting a wild card spot, even without Cole. This is a team I think that could go and get into the playoffs.
Probably because a lot of the AL East is just not in their best spot. They're rebuilding. They're coming up. The Orioles are probably the one, but they too also have pitching injuries and no depth whatsoever. So it feels very like Dodgers and everybody else, doesn't it? Right now,
it does.
More so than ever before.
I mean, with all the money that they've spent, Steve, and all the moves that they've made, absolutely. But one thing we've learned in baseball, partner, is just because you make all the moves and you win the offseason doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win a World Series. Now, it helps that they won last year, which gives them a little bit of a leash, but I understand the point.
Totally. I can't wait for baseball.
I'm ready to go, Steve. I'm itching.
Has to shake out. I feel like there's so much that still has to shake out.
Well, you're talking about the offseason of the Yankees. They've put a lot into making sure that the roster works today, tomorrow. That is kind of the idea. And if they don't have a top-end starter, like you said, they're going to be in a lot of trouble because the Fried and companies of the world, you're looking for a lot of leaps to be taken. I say you call for Dylan Cease, and whether the Padres are trying to shed payroll is one thing. I think you make a call for Sandy Alcantara, too, and see if he's available coming off Tommy John for the Miami Marlins. So I think guys like that are available, if so. And
but don't you think everyone's calling about those guys, Colin? I think everybody and their brother has been calling about those guys, and I know maybe you got to
first week of the season.
Health?
First deadline, yes. First week of the season, probably not as much as you'd think, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, I hope so.
That's my takeaway, but you'd have to give up more because the teams are not selling yet. They're not desperate yet. They're not trying to shed payroll. So that's why you'd have to give up a little bit more now, but there's less teams kind of in the fold.
Now I will say, too, Kyle, maybe a little bit to Steve's point here, too. It's the most expensive position in baseball to trade for, this starting pitcher. It's just there's just such a need.
That's why you
got
to trade it to a team that doesn't necessarily need one.
Well,
Do the Marlins need one this year?
You got to find the team, Steve, that thinks they're going to compete this year, but we all know they're really not going to compete, and we don't know that until these teams start playing games. So,
well, Miami makes sense, and you'd probably go waiting. You're rolling the dice if the Padres are not any good, which I don't think they will be. And you make a couple calls for their starters. That's what you do. That's one option or two option. That's the only, in my opinion, unless you want to go to Lance Lynn and see if that works.
Exactly, right? Exactly. And I think the Marlins would make a ton of sense, and I'm sure they are going to be analyzing, all of the options that are available to them at this point, which, Yankees are going to, you got to decide. Do you want a mortgage? Do you think you have enough of a chance this year? The AL is pretty weak. So with Cole, yes, if you can, but Alcantara without an elbow injury or a Tommy John, sure. With a Tommy John, maybe give him a few more weeks.
Yeah, he's looked good in spring training. That's one thing to note as well. But Steve Palazzino joining us now, the Good Karma Brands president, Palm Beach Sports Commission Hall of Famer, presented by Duffy's Sports Grill. Steve, Mike, and I, and Christian were talking about it a little earlier. Are you a TV show guy?
I am. I love TV shows. Don't have tons of time to watch them. My wife and I try to watch them together, which is tricky between the sleep schedule and the travel schedule. So it takes us a long time to get through seasons.
All right,
long time.
Give me a sense. Are you watching anything currently?
So we're watching Shrinking. Do you know that one?
Yeah, I like it.
Great. Harrison Ford,
Funny.
Jason Segel. It's really, really funny. It's 30 minutes. As I said, it's 2 seasons. I think it's taken us 4 months, to make any kind of a dent in that show.
Well, this is the part of the year, too. There's not a ton going on. The NCAA tournament doesn't start for about a week and a half. This is the part of the year where you can get away with watching a TV show.
It never stops with Uncle Steve Palazzino, Kyle.
There's always something. But, I heard you guys with the Severance, and I haven't watched it, but I see the previews before every Shrinking episode. And I was kind of like, should I watch this? Should I not watch this? Mike seems real into it. Looks really weird.
It's
weird shows.
It's out there, Steve. I called it disturbing. It's not weird. It's disturbing, but I find myself going back to it, and I can't get enough of it, and I think it's pretty funny. I think there's a comedy aspect to it as well.
All right, I'll give it a shot. Colin, where are you on that?
He hates it.
Christian, I need you.
Christian, I need you.
I'm right here. I can speak.
Mr. Milchek!
It's a good show. It is by no means great. People want to flaunt that it's one of the best shows on TV. They're completely wrong, in my opinion. They're completely wrong.
White Lotus? White Lotus is next once we finish this other show.
Colin can't stand it.
I've never even given White Lotus a shot. I don't think it's my type of show from afar.
Yeah, Christian? I heard a lot of hype about White Lotus going into a greatest season of television of all time for season 2. I thought it was good, not great. That's pretty much it.
And that's how it was being lauded? Greatest season of television ever?
I think he was in the payroll for HBO promoting White Lotus to me.
Yeah, I'm not sold on that whatsoever. It's tough for me to get into a really good show because it's tough to nail a really good show. You got to have consistency. I don't know. Doesn't look like one I'd be into personally. But I've given Severance a shot. I'm going to be caught up here pretty soon. It's good. It is not great. That is my. It's too slow. Steve, it's a chore.
The problem with shows now in general is your shows used to be water cooler. Oh, that episode. Everyone's somewhere else in the show, and don't tell me I'm on season 2. You're on season 4. It's like I know I sound like a fuddy-duddy, but it does take out some of the fun. Is that you can't all collaborate, on the shows.
They're good.
You can't all commiserate whatever it is. Something that ends in an 8. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah, they used to have that, Mad Men, Game of Thrones, used to all be Sopranos.
Entourage.
Yeah, it used to be appointment showing. And with especially these dramas, they don't necessarily have that anymore. I think it loses in allure to
when
everybody
I
talking
was
about it.
a kid, I used to listen to this radio show. You guys probably aren't familiar with it. It was called Mike and the Mad Dog. And on Fridays, they would talk about L.A. Law, which was the show my dad and I would watch on the Thursday. And they'd give you about 3 minutes of a breakdown of it. And I look forward to that as much as anything.
Yeah,
L.A. Law, huh?
That's why, interesting. I didn't even know that. But, and I know they had Gandolfini on a ton in the old days, too, when The Sopranos was in the thick of it as well. So the shows, when it's appointment viewing, it's easy for everybody to get into it because everybody's on the same page. I really like that point, Steve. You're onto something there. Good job.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Steve, really quickly before we let you go here, tell us what's going on with Duffy's Sports Grill.
Oh, you know what's up with Duffy's. It is what's coming up. What's coming up? You know what's coming up?
What is coming up, Steve?
It's March, Steve. Steve, it's March.
A lot of that. Well, you always get that at Duffy's, but you know what else you get? The Ultimate St. Patty's Day party. All Monday the 17th, get the corned beef and cabbage, the certified Angus beef for just $15.99. This is a Duffy's annual staple. This is a must. You have the drink specials, obviously the games. You got the $6 Jameson shots, the $7 Guinness pints, the $4 Green Miller Light pints as well. At Duffy's, our game is always on, including St. Patty's.
Nice job, Steve. Lastly here, do you get into mid-major conference championship week in college basketball where teams can steal bids? Do you get into that at all?
I'm going to say probably not as much as you, Colin.
Steve, hang on. Colin's got a doozy
Hold
for
on.
you tonight.
I got something for you on CBS Sports Network. 7 p.m., you got Delaware taking on UNC Wilmington. Why is that interesting? Because Delaware is a team that is 16-19. And is it a team, they're playing tonight, 7 p.m. So if you got nothing going on, which I'm sure you don't, turn it on. And you could watch UNC Wilmington, who's 26-7, had a good year. Why is it interesting? Delaware, 1-11 in their last regular season, 12 regular season games coming into the tournament. They have won one regular season game since Trump was inaugurated. And then they won 4 straight in their conference tournament. And now they got the championship tonight, fighting for a bid, 7 p.m. CBS Sports Network. How about that?
Maybe.
You're not interested? You're not interested in that? All right. Steve, I just drew you. You talk about storyline, March Madness, some Cinderella. There's one for you.
He's watching that Harrison Ford, show tonight with the wife.
I honestly think like March Madness. There's so many. I will say this, Colin. I actually think conference tournaments, to me, are almost have added more than the NCAA tournaments because there's so many now upsets in the NCAA tournaments. In the NCAA tournament, you're so almost accustomed to it that maybe like the basketball purists could maybe get in more to the conference tournaments. So I'll give you that. Still not watching, but I'll give you that.
I'll give you an update if it's a great game. Appreciate it always, Steve. We look forward to speaking again next week.
Thanks, guys.
That's Steve Pollitt, Senior. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat. We close out the program next. Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Hey, ref, timeout, man. All right, team, we're only down by 5. We can still win this. Grab some water and get back out there. Wait, no, not that water. That's full of contaminants and pharmaceuticals. You need Culligan water. With their free water test and reverse osmosis purification system, you'll have clean, refreshing water just like a slam dunk. Schedule your free consultation today at Culligan.com. Culligan, your partner for better water.
Hey, Culligan man!
Mark your calendars. Baseball is back on March 27th. You've never seen an opening day like this before. It's Marlins baseball infused with a 305 to create opening day. South Florida legend Dan Marino kicks off the fiesta with a historic first pitch. Sandy Alcantara makes his long-awaited return to the mound. Plus, Luis Fonsi and Flo Rida are teaming up for an epic post-game concert. This is a can't-miss global event, and the whole world is invited. Get your tickets today at marlins.com/tickets.
What's the Anajar and Levine difference? If you're the victim of a car crash, you will always speak to a lawyer. You'll always get the highest standard of care from our dedicated legal team, and we'll always fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. That's the Anajar and Levine difference. Call our legal team right now for a free consultation. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Don't wait. Call 1-800-747-FREE.
In office, West Palm Beach. ESPN West Palm is highlighting the best performance of the week, presented by Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Every week, a different team will be featured across ESPN 106.3 and ESPN West Palm Play. The winning performance receives $500, courtesy of Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Do you know a team, player, or school with a killer performance? Nominate them by emailing highschool@espnwestpalm.com. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Go where the pros go.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Now, if you're into the Coastal Athletic Association's conference tournament, Delaware and UNC Wilmington playing tonight for the final and an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. Usually a one-bid league. UNC Wilmington was the top team in that conference. Delaware was 1-11 in conference play coming into that tournament. And they played Wilmington 10 days ago. They lost by 30. But they got them again tonight. They got another opportunity, and they're getting essentially 10 points. Sign up now on Hard Rock Bet and go download the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store. Go to hardrock.bet online to get started today. Hard Rock's the best because if you're somebody like me who's getting into the Delaware UNC Wilmington game tonight, 7 o'clock, CBS Sports Network, then you could go sprinkle a little action on it because I think this is one of the more fun parts of the year. It's the precursor to the NCAA tournament. You could get into games like this. Go ahead, Christian.
That's the wrong pitch. If you want help to get invested in a game like that, because Colin, you're invested no matter what, but I'm not. But when I put $25 on Delaware,
$10,
yeah.
A team that has won 4 games in 4. How about this too? All right, you want another sell? If you want to get started on Hard Rock Bet, 2 teams have won 5 games in 5 days to win their conference tournament in order to steal a bid. 2011 UConn won it all. 2024 NC State went to the Final Four. The third could be Delaware tonight against UNC Wilmington.
See, that's all fun, but I'll care when I have $25 in the game.
$25 in the game if you want. I think they're getting 10 points in this one, 9.5 in that range over on Hard Rock Bet. Go check it out today. Go check out the Discover page. You can see what actually the professionals have in terms of sprinkling a little action on these mid-major conference championship week, which I get a kick out of. But go get started now. Get up to $100 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not hit. That first bet can be a parlay, can be a prop, can be the over, whatever you like to bet in the game you choose. Win that first bet, get the same amount you bet back as a bonus bet. It's Hard Rock Bet, offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida. The wager, terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling, call 1-888-ADMIT-IT. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Catt with you as always, closing out the program here on a Tuesday edition of the fun precursor to March Madness. I'm into that. I don't know. I get into these games.
Yeah, I do too. I watched the ones last night. Wofford. I know it's Wofford, but I call them Wofford because they beat Kentucky in the tournament. What was that?
Fletcher McGee.
Jack
Golke.
There you go.
That was Oakland beating Kentucky.
Oh, that wasn't Wofford.
It was Fletcher McGee.
Okay.
I was going to flex so hard. I was so excited to get
I
that
thought
off.
you had a poll.
Christian, that's
Oakland.
That's not on you. That's on me. That's on me. Don't worry about it. Hey, don't you worry about it. That's on me, buddy. You still get your flowers. I like the weekend more, Colin. I can't lie. When the bigger tournaments, the Big Ten
all
tournament.
Those teams get in. I can't get into that. All those teams get in.
But Colin, you got back end Power 5 teams that are fighting for their lives in these conferences as well. So
it was cool because I got to watch UMBC win their conference tournament before they pulled off the impossible beating 1 seed Virginia.
Did you sense a buzz?
I don't know what possessed me to turn that game on. I think it was right in the middle of college break and I was at home. But that guy with the curly black hair, I recognized him. So wait a second. We got something here.
That's how you do it.
You took him on your bracket?
Takes. That's all it takes.
Did you take him on your bracket?
No, of course not.
Delaware would be the 16th worst record to ever get into the NCAA tournament if they steal this game tonight. They'll probably be a first 4 in the 16 seed, and you bet your rear end they're going to beat whoever they have if they win out tonight. Sign me up. Magic, the Mojo, It's right there in front of you. Delaware, UNC, Wilmington, 7 p.m. CBS Sports Network. Did I sell you?
A little bit. Will they be saddled with the first 4 though if they steal the bid?
Yes. 16th
They
worst.
have to be.
16th worst record in the history of the tournament.
Christian, you bet your bottom dollar.
Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo, Christian Cat with you as always. Back at it tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m. Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
It's a Twin Peaks Tuesday. Twin